Hello, my friends, and welcome. I'm Kate in the Nest, and it's great to have you with me. It's time for some mini makes with scrappy bits, and I'm excited because I love how this idea has just actually come out of nowhere. I have been out of the shops and not even thrift shops are open at the moment, so I have been literally in my nest making and playing and tidying, and I have come across quite a collection of scrappy bits, but they're not actually bits of material. They are little bits of offcuts of trims and bits and pieces. So I put that with something I haven't ever done before. And that is, before I tell you, I better check in. Hello, hello. I hope you're feeling well and ready for some fun because it is Friday here, and that's why I'm rushing into this. I've been at work and I'm home now, and it is time to play. So that is the real story of me gathering up and noticing all I had all of those, and then coming across something that I actually have bought new for the first time. It's a box, and it was on special at Spotlight. For those of you in Australia, we know that store well, and all through the Christmas holidays they have been saying come in and spend $100 and you'll get $40 off, or 40% off the whole store, or closing now, etc., etc. So it's been one sale after another, and I came across this section that I never usually go into, but it's for this is a paper mache, I'm just reading it, keepsake box. And I have been watching others with their tins and boxes and coveting, really. I've only covered sewing baskets before, so I'm going to try a box, and I'm particularly interested in this one because I like the shape. I don't have to worry about it fastening, and it can just go open. And because I'm using more and more of the threads that I can't find, I do want something, these ones that I've wrapped, I do want something that perhaps I could stay, that isn't as neat as my plastic ones that I bought from the thrift store, or just something to collect even scraps in. So the idea is we're going to use scraps to make a scrappy box, and let's see how far we go or get. So I haven't started, haven't thought about it. As I said, all I've done is grabbed this collection. This little basket actually came from Spotlight too. It's got a partner in the bigger one, which I like that effect. I've gone and got a scrap of wadding. I don't think you've ever seen me use wadding. I only use blanket, but here we go. I found that I had a whole drawer of this given to be my mum, and my idea is that we'll start with the top, and I'm going to ignore this part. No, I'm thinking I will hot glue this onto here. And what else have I got? I've got some linen. That is an old embroidery, but I've got little bits around the side. I've got some scraps of sari silk, and can you see my colour scheme? I'm giving you a rest from the brights, and I feel like playing vintage. And do you think I might have been influenced by the dress I'm wearing? Who knows? Okay, so that's where we're going. What will I do first? I think I will give you an example of the scraps that I have. So I just showed you those. Now usually, and there's another bit torn. So all these bits that are not, they're remnants, aren't they? So I've got a few of those to be my base layer. And then, have you got bits like this? Just all sorts of different lengths of ends and snippets of crocheting. Now, when I use a tablecloth or a doily in its entirety or in its bits, I save. Do you do this? I save all of the pieces around the edge because I can't bear to part with them. So it's this sort of stuff that I've got in mind. So that one's very creamy. This one is a lot more, well, that's the corner, obviously. But it is just beautiful work. So I've got some of those. I've got a motif from a vintage piece of lace, these sorts of bits. I think because, and again, I don't know what you do, when I see braids in thrift stores or in the sewing basket, I just grab them. That is like really attractive to me as a bundle. So I use these at my workshops, but I haven't used them myself lately. That's a big bit of white scrap. I do have some thinner ones. You're getting the idea. There's some bright white broderie. Here's another bit of a doily. So can we make, I think that's probably, you've got the idea. Have you got something like this? Some are big, some are short, some have got a bit of colour. Well, I don't know whether I'll be tempted or not. There's a pink little tiny bit. So I'll plop them back in there. Hopefully you've got something to be working on. Look, I've even got two sorts of leftover from my fabric bags crocheting. There's a stretchy bit and then there's an old bit of sheeting. So all of the, and you can see how loved it is. It's been on my nest with lots of bits in it. Here's another bit. So we're going natural colours, and I suppose that's in keeping with this. So let's just play, because that's what the weekend means to me. Oh. Now the embarrassing thing here is I think I don't like wadding because you actually have to cut it, whereas blanket you can tear. So I could do this all sorts of different ways, but I'm just going to, I think I'll do the flaps separately. So this is great for beginners because we can learn how to do this together. So sort of one wonky side, and I'm just running my scissors along here to get the rough shape. There we are. Oh, crash bundle. This bit here looks like it's sticking out a little bit more than we would want. So of course you could trace and do all of those things and measure. Now you might be thinking, what's she going to do with the rest? I think if we've got a pretty top, that's a great start. So I'm not necessarily thinking that I would, I'm going to cover the whole thing. And the other part is because I've been journaling this week, I've got lots of papers and things close to me that I could actually line it with. So, but for this afternoon, we're just going to look at this as a mini make. So it's not that wide. Oh, don't let me forget that that's in there. We can put the wadding away. I don't know what it feels like to stitch wadding because it's what I used way back. Oh, And you know, I bought some new pins, but oh, here they are. This was also Spotlight. When I'm there, I may as well stock up. So first thing is literally, can we cover the wadding? And I do like these stripes. I mean, I wonder if I should start with that up there. I think I might. Change my mind because I like that fray there. And we'll see if along the way we can, you know, see some of this. I've got this little bit of corner. So I haven't even had to cut anything. So with collage, we want different different places where the pieces join. Well, I like that. The effect. We could iron, but they're going to be covered. So there we are. We've covered just in that quick amount of time. I can see that this is actually machine sewn, so we'll get rid of that. Does it worry me? No, because we're going to put lots and lots over it. So next step. Oh, bit of invisible stitching or tiny tacking, which means that we can already get rid of that stitch. I didn't used to do this, but now it just makes it easier. So literally, I'm just big stitches underneath through the wadding and then little ones on top. Oh, hook that pin. So what have you been up to? It may not be Friday when you're watching this. And how has your week been? I'm trying to ban myself from saying, how can it be possibly the date? But truly, this is the 16th of February. Oh, of January, phew, not February. But just like that, eh? So there we are. We've got that bit down. We'll just go along the sides, just down to this corner here. And sort of, I'm going for that. We want ruffled, textural, dimensional, and beautiful effect. And this is all over. All right, so I want to now go over here. It's a bit like my husband's mowing of the lawn. He doesn't believe in going in rows. He makes patterns. There we go. So I've sort of got that corner done there. I'm going to just quickly get this bit onto there, and I'm just using machine thread here. Again, I just pick this up when I see it. And really, you wouldn't need to be doing a lot of this because it's all going to be covered, but just so. I mean, you could actually have just done this and then decide to put embroideries or your scraps of fabric over the top. It's just quick and as I say with this, when I do these, it's just that interplay of having little things to do as well as big things for me. Now I'm doing about inch-long stitches on the back. Okay, it took me a little while to understand tiny on the front and big on the back. So you can't even see it, but there are very big stitches, and it just means that those pieces won't fall off while we play. Now, just a quick check. You could go that way, but I designed it this way because I like that. That's just me. I like uneven frills and dingles. One of the scraps I didn't show you is this one. It's always a favourite, and you can see it's been well loved in the nest because it has little bits of wool all the way through it, because sometimes I travel with little bits like this. I can do that later, but let me just cut that thread there. What could be possible if you imagine without that pink, that this actually becomes a dingle dangle over the front. I've used that on my other little sewing basket, and I love it. And I do need to make some more of those. Okay, so that's sort of roughly the right size. That's going to be my joiner. We're going to put stuff all over this, and then we're going to glue it onto the lid. This is already fraying, so let's just, I'm thinking we might start, not strong enough today to tear that. We might just collect some pieces, and all of different lengths. I'll leave the doily away. I've got 3 motifs there. Think about that. I sort of like that corner. I wonder if I could, actually we could save that. Let me just check that. I sure hope I'm in the right spot. We could use that, say, over there. It's actually the wrong, that's the right way out. And not that we're placing yet, but something like that. Maybe, or this tear. If it does, I like the frayed. Yep. That's become another little corner. We need some contrast. I think that's too, I don't know where I got that from. It's very dark. It looks like it's been in coffee. Instead, I think too wide on that one. Now I'm getting fussy. Little one that's got a bit of blue stitching. I like the way how that's sort of a bit crunkled. This is nylon. I don't usually use it. However, layered and that nice scallopy edge could easily be gathered up. That's a pretty one, and I've got heaps. I haven't seen that since a workshop. Now, was there one in there that you're saying, Kate, find it and make it work? That's a scallopy one. I'm digging right down the bottom now. Oh, there's a little bit of that beautiful vintage. Oh, and this one. I've got heaps and heaps. That's from a it used to be around something. Now that doesn't make sense. Around a tray cloth or whatever. Look, we can always come back in there. Did I cut a piece? Is that it? Yeah. Oh, it's not as big as I thought. Do you know that sometimes I really, just then I thought, do they think I'm crazy talking to myself? Probably. All right. Oh, that became a scrap then, an unintended one. As much as I love that little yellow bit, don't need it here. All right, let's get going. Let's get a bit of that one and a bit of this one. I'm going to start with a new thread, and I might even have a look. I should have had more of a look, but I'm just getting a few natural neutral threads. that are a little bit thicker and more visible. Only when you want them, you can't really just found a zipper. Sometimes they look great as well. So many more things over here. Oh, this one. That's very beautiful. So is that. So is that. Okay. Let us. I hope you're having fun doing what you're doing, because I'm loving this. I'm settling in. Can you tell that? Truly celebration and well-being, mindfulness, community, ticking all the boxes that I need. Now you could also do this on the machine, I was thinking, and it'd take a lot less time. But at this point, I want to spend the time. All right. Kate's way is often, how can we be efficient in getting a lot of layers down at the same time? Oh, I thought I did a knot in there. So I've got the original, I've got a little bit of the silk, and I've got this bit because I feel like that's sort of a lovely, interesting corner. And just pull it through. And there's far more layers than there were before, so it will take a little bit longer. Maybe this is, it's all right. So this is sort of running the stitch. To there, I'll leave that hanging down. And now, I love that little end there. It is more effective if it's, yeah, just let loose. So we're up here. Let's whip down this way. Now, I don't know whether this is my needle or it's me feeling how different the wadding feels. So I'm just now going to go not as deep as I was in before. Okay, so just big obvious stitches. That's how it is so far. That's fraying away, and we're having the contrast of, now I'd like maybe more of those circles to be seen and a little bit more of a frill here. So let's just go through this. I'll change my needle because I think it's the needle actually. Just do a few stitches in the trim itself. To gather that up before we go back down into the silk and the linen. I'll double that. And because we have thread still left, let's go up here and across. And really we're just making some marks that will add interest, and I want those holes to be seen again. There we are. So if I took all of this bunching away, that's what we've got so far. Dangly little bits. And then it becomes a matter of choice. How much of this underlay do we want to be seen? Do we want to think a lot about the frilling and the layering? Like that could go under there. Then we could leave a space. So then something else over the top. It's layer upon layer. I feel like changing the thread again. And I have I've got some gold. And I like doubling gold. So let's add some of that. So I've got double length of gold thread and pull it out like that. And I'm actually going to let that fray with our Scrappy theme. And this time let's go in these little, in the little holes of the eyelets. Following the rule of like $3.50 lace edging. How nice, and what a bargain. So we want to go, well, I'm talking about, we're all doing it together, because sometimes I don't like talking about I all the time. It's like the royal way, isn't it? I'm just talking for all of us and saying that one very effective thing to do is to not have everything in this style finish at exactly the same time. So that finished there, so I wouldn't feel arty doing it, finishing it there. Now I could leave that, but I'm going to chop that there. I'm not feeling that at the moment. I do like this bit, but I feel we need a little contrast of yep. Let's see if we can get the crochet to the right side. That is the right side. Okay, so we're way up there with the gold. So how are we going to get ourselves down? We could make a feature of this beautiful lace. And see if we can make some sort of flower or mark or pattern. So I'm just going into the center and using the holes that are there to guide me. I don't think it's made a flower yet. We can still keep hoping. That's more like it. So there we are, sort of a flower with a stem. And then I want to come up down here. Oh, I've forgotten which one I said I was going to use. I don't think it was this one. Oh, that's the corner. What's this one? Oh, no, that's the one I haven't. Oh, thank you for your patience. I know what we're going to do. We have still this gold, and I've got these sort of half circle shapes. So before we go on, is there a way that we can make some marks? That pin's looking pretty dangerous, but I've collected that crochet along the way underneath. Do you excuse me? Hay fever, better late than never in this room. So there we are. We've made a sort of little circle. I pulled it tight deliberately, and now because we've got thread left, let's go around a few more stitches. this time we've got all these choices, and it's really up to us what we do with them. Wouldn't mind a little bit too far. I don't have many plain cottons. That's my maybe too much. That's pretty though. Okay, is this the same color as I was using before? Yep. So let's go back to that. And then you could use black at this point, or some cream wool. So this, because I want it to be a frill underneath, so I knotted it. So I'm going fast just to see how far we can get in a bit of an allotted time. But you of course can go as slowly as you like and just enjoy making a pattern. This one I feel like doing a little bit of not necessarily a straight line. It's got a curve on it, so we'll just let it tell us what it likes to be. This is going on easily. If you haven't got a box to cover, or you just want to have a little experiment, or you've probably done things like this, but you know, can I just encourage you to, whenever you just want to be free for a little while, no risk. Now let's do some really big, visible over the top stitches here. This could be a book cover, journal cover. Now we're coming up to this join, which we might put, see that bit now, over the top, slight colour variation, and I'm way up here. So let's make these giant stitches keep going, but gradually start to move them a bit further down. Now we could be doing these in all different colours. I was just looking at my memory keeper here. I mean, I could have done that sideways and had that same impact. So a pink one. Oh, I didn't want that to come undone. Okay, now I need to hook this little corner down. I'm just doing this in real time. I hope that's okay. You can get it. You can have a long cup of coffee today, because I haven't looked at how long this is. in the flow. And we can come back later, and what I'd probably do is make a feature of that sticking up like a ruffle over a sleeve. All right, bits that I really want to put on before we go was, please yell out at home. I want, if you can see it, I want that very vintagey bit. I can't see. I do have those in there that might be nearly ready for a special appearance. I mustn't forget this little bit either. I don't know whether the gold is going to be too bold. Might be, maybe this is better, a little bit more subtle. Okay, last slowly. It's that lattice that had the yellow on it, this. So when all else fails, because I've got it in my mind and can't not do it, I'm going to use another little bit, which sometimes these bits end up being better. Better check my memory. A little squashy bit there, like a clustery idea. Too big. Perhaps. Where's my corner? That's going to go on there. Not that. This bit. So a little bit of thinking. Work with it now. That's the right side. We're going to have a little overhang. Tuck that. I think they probably need to come down a little bit. Not sure. More sure. Just do a little tiny bit. Honestly, where's that netty bit gone again? Sometimes I think pieces are telling me, oh, I'd forgotten that bit too. Didn't I pull apart? I'm not going to cut anymore because that would be wasteful. Let me just finish this bit off. sometimes like just ruching them a little bit gives you lots of texture. So much for my little rosette. Oh, that's nice though. Look at that. That's an accidental, wonderful thing that's happened. See that? It's almost like a pin tuck. I'll put that there. And what we'll have to say is that there's still some very beautiful things. Let's cut this flower out. Take that bit off there. Squish it up. This opportunity. See, I've made a scrap deliberately using a lot of pins. One doesn't want to go. That under there, a little bit of that. We're going to have a little bit of creamy dingle dangles, and we've still got some crochet and other bits to go. You see why I so desperately want it? I do have lots more of this. I'm going to stitch this immediately on as a cluster, otherwise oh my goodness, thank you for your patience. Oh goodness, Kate. All right, all I need to do is show you that vintage beautiful fabric is going on top of this bit of sari, and that beautiful crochet frill is going to be there. And let's literally make something here, because a button or a treasure could go on top. See how that just flicks out there. And let's get our box up to see if we can get things in proportion now. Not finished, of course, but there is the beginnings of our sweet, scrappy, ruffled box that is just ripe for more and more layers and treasures. We can be tucking things in, making little pockets. We need a treasure. I probably haven't got a mutual treasure here. Where was that flower? There we are. That's an old vintage earring. But see, there we go. The beginning of a treasure box that we can just use all our little bits and pieces. A bit too much to have a zipper, wouldn't it? Okay, I hope you have just enjoyed being with me as I've played. Remember, it is just so good for us. It doesn't have